everybody. This is Joseph P. Farrell with news and views from the Nefarium very early on Thursday morning, July 7th, 2022. Wow, I've got a couple topics I want to talk about today, but first a reminder, the vid chat schedule for this month, the month of July, is up. The first short format vid chat will be next Friday, a week from tomorrow. At our usual time, 3 p.m. U.S. Central Time. Now, I've got both of them scheduled to go up this coming week. So if you don't see the vid chat for the 15th popping up in the members area, please drop me an email and let me know. All right, now I want to talk about two very different stories, but they're both kind of an apocalyptic nature. The first one is a story that no doubt you will have heard by now, and that is that someone has blown up one of the pillars of the Georgia Guidestones, all right? And more recently, just in the last hour and a half, and I'm recording this at 1:30 in the morning, folks. I've been up most of the day today, but this story just came out and I decided I had to do my news and views early to cover it. Alex Jones is apparently reporting that someone has moved in and demolished the rest of the Georgia Guidestones. So it was blown up apparently early yesterday morning. That would have been July 6th. And then later that day, the rest of the Georgia Guidestones were torn down. Now, I have an article that is reporting on this. I want to read the entire thing to you and then do a comment on it. And then I want to go from there to the food plant fires and another thought that just occurred to me about the food plant fires. So this article is off of Twitter. I'll post the link for you when I post this on the website so that you can read the article for yourself, but I'm going to read the whole thing. Quote, authorities are investigating the partial demolition of the infamous Georgia Guidestones, a stone monument which has long been a focal point for believers in the New World Order conspiracy theory. Listen very carefully to this, folks, around 4 a.m. Wednesday, someone detonated an explosive device at the site, according to the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. The blast completely destroyed one of the 4 marble slabs and damaged the others. The Georgia Guidestones, often referred to as America's Stonehenge, was erected in 1980 in Elbert County, Georgia. The 19-foot-tall, 237,746-pound monument contains a set of 10 guidelines inscribed in 8 modern languages. The 10 guidelines are meant to help humanity achieve, quote, an age of reason, unquote, and include instructions such as, quote, unite humanity with a living new language, unquote, or be not a cancer on the earth, avoid petty laws and useless officials, and balance personal rights with social duties. But the first guideline, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature, has led conspiracy theorists to accuse the monument of calling for a depopulation. With the world's population soon reaching 8 billion, 15 out of 16 people would need to die in order for the Guidestones population suggestion to become reality. It is not known who created the Georgia Guidestones. A man using the pseudonym Robert C. Christian approached the Elberton Granite Finishing Company in 1979 on behalf of, quote, a small group of loyal Americans, unquote, to commission the structure. Wednesday's incident is not the first time the monument has been vandalized. In 2008, the slabs were defaced with paint and graffiti with slogans such as "Death to the New World Order," and in 2014, someone graffitied "I am Isis, Goddess of Love" on the monument. Candace Taylor, a candidate for the 2022 Republican nomination for governor of Georgia, made the destruction of the Guidestones one of her campaign pledges, claiming they were, quote, "a satanic evil," unquote. "I am the only candidate bold enough to stand up to the Luciferian cabal," Taylor said in a video posted to Twitter on May 2nd, 2022. "Elect me governor of Georgia, and I will bring the satanic regime to its knees and demolish the Georgia Guidestones." On Wednesday morning, Taylor tweeted out, quote, "God is God all by himself. He can do anything he wants to do. That includes striking down satanic Guidestones," unquote. Conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, who had previously visited the monument for his show, said that while he liked seeing the monument bombed, quote, "at an animal level," unquote, he did not agree with whoever did it, because we need that evil edifice there as a confession letter. And that, folks, is the end of the article. Now, I have a couple of comments to make about this. And the first is, you'll notice that one of the guidelines is unite humanity with a living new language, and this on an edifice that is, rather tall compared to the immediate surroundings. And I was kind of reminded of, my idea of the Tower of Babel, that humanity at one point had a united language and, moreover, apparently a united intention, and that the reason that the Tower of Babel occurred, if you read the Old Testament anyway, is that with that united intention and the completion of the tower, which, quote unquote, could reach unto heaven, they would be able to do whatsoever they imagined to do. So the Georgia Guidestones, in a certain sense, are kind of to me, have always been kind of a symbolic reversal of that Tower of Babel moment of history. And then, of course, you have all of the conspiracy theorists that are concerned that it really was setting out a depopulation, genocidal agenda. Now, I never have covered or talked that much about the Georgia Guidestones in my blogging or on my website, but I do tend to think that whoever put those things up with all of the guidelines, or whatever you want to call them, was in fact acting in a kind of conspiratorial manner and laying out more or less the plan. And the call for an age of reason strikes me here as being another attempt to recreate what the French Revolution attempted to create. In other words, ages of reason usually go off the rails into a great deal of bloodshed, much like ages of faith tend to do when there's no countervailing power. So I've always been skeptical of the Georgia Guidestones, but now here's my real point in talking about this story. And that is that the explosion which brought down one of the marble columns and did damage to the others, the explosion occurred circa 4 a.m. yesterday. That's 4 a.m. July 6, Wednesday. Now, what's very interesting to note is that supposedly there were surveillance cameras always monitoring the Guidestones 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, the question I have is the Georgia Bureau of Investigation going to release those surveillance tapes? Do the tapes show anyone placing or planting an explosive on that particular column of the Georgia Guidestones? Or do they even show anyone acting suspicious around them? Now, the reason I'm pointing all of this out is it should be a relatively easy matter if those tapes exist and if the Georgia Bureau of Investigation is indeed examining them, as one would have to presume that they are, it should be a relatively easy matter to identify the suspect or suspects if indeed anyone was planning a demolition device on that monument. But I rather suspect there might be another scenario in play, and that is that the demolition of that slab, the demolition device, was planted in the monument from the very beginning by whoever erected it, and that at a certain point in time that the monument would be destroyed by detonation. In other words, we're dealing with a scenario rather like the 9/11 scenario, where demolition charges, according to some, were placed inside the World Trade Center towers. And that would have required a rather exhaustive, extensive preparation. And some people maintain that those demolition charges were planted in the buildings when they were constructed. So I'm arguing kind of a similar scenario here, that might be possible that for whatever reason they might have decided to destroy their own monument. Now, Kent Bain, the author of The Most Dangerous Book in the World, if you're not familiar with it, it's a book about the occult symbolism surrounding 9/11. He's already made a blog about his take on the Georgia Guidestone destruction. I have nothing to say about his theory one way or the other. I'm neither opposed nor in favor of it. I do think it's worth at least considering. But I do think it's rather suspicious that as yet we have not heard anything about who may be suspected to be behind the destruction. Now, the second topic I want to talk about is all of the food plant fires. I've been getting a lot of emails from people speculating about these food plant fires that we're watching take place not only in this country but incidentally around the world. And I have to wonder not only if we are watching a deliberate destruction, but if we have in fact plumbed adequately in our speculations about it as to what may actually be going on. Now, many people out there are speculating that this destruction is deliberate in the sense that it's being done in order to promote food shortages and mass starvation. And in fact, that some people are already arguing that the destruction of the Georgia Guidestones is connected to these food plant fires. Because again, the Guidestones talk about a population living in peace and harmony with nature, a population of no more than 500 million people. Now, I don't know if that is the motive. I have no doubt that we are dealing with deliberate destruction of food processing plants. And we all know that the elite likes to stack functions. In other words, achieve multiple goals with one operation. So I'm wondering if the real motivation is indeed the destruction of food plants for the purpose of population reduction. It could be that some sort of pathogen has got out into the food processing industry, and rather than admit this, they are simply destroying these plants in an effort to stop the spread of the pathogen, leave some people alive, and also accomplish a goal of depopulation. So in other words, it's to me very interesting that the food plant destruction occurs at the same time that they are ginning up yet another pandemic narrative, or attempting to, with the monkeypox story and COVID variants stories that are out there. So all of this is hovering out there right now, folks. The destruction of the Georgia Guidestones, the food plant fires, and all I'm arguing is I think we need to be careful before we leap to any conclusions. We need to hear from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. We need to see those surveillance tapes on the monument to see if there's anyone actually acting like they are planting demolition charges on those columns. This is solid marble, so there would have to be a fairly significant charge on those marble blocks in order to do the type of devastation that we saw. I would say probably a contact charge, or a charge that was inside of those columns from the very beginning. So something that we need to take note of, and perhaps these food plant fires are connected with the Georgia Guidestone destruction. A lot of speculation today, I admit, folks, but I think it's very curious that we're watching all of this insanity take place. They're up to something, folks, and evil, if you follow the old Christian tradition, evil is the ultimate irrationality. In other words, it is insane. So the insanity that we're seeing is also another manifestation of something evil, in my opinion. Anyway, that's it for today's news and views from the Nefarium. Let me know what you think. Don't forget the VidChat schedule. Please check it. Our next VidChat will be a week from tomorrow on July 15th. We've got another one scheduled for July 29th. I will be trying to schedule the August and September VidChats as well this weekend. So please keep your eye on the schedule. Anyway, that's it for today's news and views from the Nefarium, folks. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you on the flip side. Bye-bye, and God bless.